Most people think Ayanokoji controls people because he's smarter than them. That's only half the truth. Being intelligent doesn't automatically give you power. If everyone knows you're the smartest person in the room, they'll watch you. They'll prepare for you. They'll try to stop you. And that's exactly why Ayanokoji does something far more dangerous. He makes people underestimate him. He lets Horikita believe she's leading. He lets other students believe they're making their own decisions. He allows his enemies to think they've figured him out, while everyone else is looking at the chess pieces. Ayanokoji is the one moving the board. This is not just intelligence, it's power. And one of the best books ever written about power is Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. The book explains the strategies people use to gain influence, protect their position, manipulate situations, and control how other people perceive them. And when you start looking at Ayanokoji through these laws, some of his decisions start making a lot more sense. Because Ayanokoji doesn't simply break the rules of the classroom. He understands the rules that exist underneath the classroom. Today, we're going through 7 laws of power that Ayanokoji uses to control his class. And pay attention, because the last law explains something that makes Ayanokoji so difficult to defeat. Let's begin. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. If you display too much talent too quickly, you can create something very dangerous. Attention. And attention is the last thing Ayanokoji wants. Think about what would happen if Ayanokoji entered Class D on the first day and immediately showed everyone what he was capable of. Perfect grades, perfect physical ability, perfect social awareness, instantly understanding everybody around him. Would people respect him? Maybe. But they would also become suspicious. Horikita would notice him, Kushida would notice him, the teachers would notice him, and eventually the other classes would notice him. Now imagine the opposite. A student who gets completely average grades, a student who doesn't seem particularly athletic, a student who doesn't fight for leadership, a student who barely speaks, a student who seems perfectly happy staying in the background. That's Ayanokoji. And this is where Law 1 becomes interesting. Ayanokoji isn't weak, he's performing weakness. There's a huge difference. He understands that if people believe they're better than you, they become comfortable around you. And comfortable people stop looking for threats. That's exactly what makes this strategy so effective. If you walk into a room and announce that you're the smartest person there, everyone starts looking for ways to prove you wrong. But if you let someone else believe they're smarter than you, they might start explaining things to you. They might reveal their plans. They might underestimate you. And eventually, they might hand you information that they never would have given to someone they considered a threat. Ayanokoji does this repeatedly. He allows Horikita to take the spotlight. He allows other people to receive the credit. He doesn't desperately chase recognition. And because he isn't fighting for the spotlight, people don't realize how much he's actually doing. This is why Ayanokoji's intelligence is so dangerous. His greatest achievement isn't being smarter than everyone. It's making sure everyone doesn't realize he's smarter than them. And you can use a less manipulative version of this in real life. You don't need to pretend to be stupid. Just stop trying to prove that you're the smartest person in every conversation. If someone knows more than you, let them speak. Ask questions. Listen. Learn. Because sometimes the person talking the most is giving away the most information. And the person quietly listening may be learning everything. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. This is one of the darker laws in the book, and Ayanokoji's relationship with his classmates makes it painfully obvious. Most people naturally divide people into 2 categories: friends, enemies. Ayanokoji doesn't think like that. He sees people based on utility. Who can help him? Who can hurt him? Who can provide information? Who can be manipulated? Who is predictable? Who is dangerous? That's why someone like Horikita can be useful to him without actually being his friend. And this distinction is extremely important, because Ayanokoji doesn't need everyone to like him. He needs them to be useful. Think about how strange his relationships are. He can cooperate with someone without emotionally attaching himself to them. He can help someone without expecting friendship in return, and he can even work with people who would normally be considered his enemies if the situation benefits him. That's the actual lesson here. Your biggest advantage isn't having a huge circle of friends. It's understanding what role every person plays in your life. And here's where Ayanokoji becomes different from the average person. Most people allow emotions to determine their decisions. If he's my friend, I'll trust him. If she's nice to me, she's probably a good person. If someone is my enemy, I'll never work with them. Ayanokoji doesn't care about these labels. He cares about results. And this doesn't mean you should treat everyone like a tool. That's actually a terrible way to build relationships. The useful lesson is simpler. Don't confuse friendship with competence. Your friend might love you and still give you terrible advice. Your rival might dislike you and still point out the biggest weakness in your strategy. So don't automatically reject information because you don't like the person giving it. Sometimes your enemy can teach you more about yourself than your friend ever will. Ayanokoji understands that. And that brings us to something even more important. If people know exactly what you're planning, they can stop you, which is why he follows Law 3. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. This might be Ayanokoji's most obvious law of power. Never let people see the entire plan, because once someone understands your objective, they can start working against it. Ayanokoji constantly operates through layers. Someone sees one action. They assume they understand why he did it, but they don't know the reason behind the reason. And they definitely don't know what comes after that. That's what makes him so frustrating to fight. Imagine playing chess against someone where you can see their current move, but you have no idea what position they're trying to create 10 moves from now. You can respond to the move, but you don't understand the game. Ayanokoji does exactly this. He can give someone information without giving them the full picture. He can cooperate with someone while hiding his actual objective. He can allow someone else to believe that an idea was theirs. And this creates a massive advantage because the other person thinks they're making the decision, when in reality, Ayanokoji already accounted for it. This is also why he doesn't explain everything. And that leads directly into Law 4. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Ayanokoji might be one of the best anime examples of this law. He doesn't need to explain himself constantly. He doesn't need everyone to know what he's thinking, and he definitely doesn't need to tell people what he's capable of, because every additional piece of information you reveal becomes another piece of information someone can use against you. Think about arguments. You say something, the other person challenges you. You explain, they challenge another part. You explain again. Eventually, you're defending yourself against a problem that didn't even exist 5 minutes ago. Ayanokoji doesn't play this game. He gives people just enough, and then he stops. This creates uncertainty. And uncertainty is powerful, because when people don't know what you're thinking, they start filling in the blanks themselves. That's why silence can sometimes be more intimidating than an explanation. And there's another advantage. When you talk less, you can observe more. While everyone else is busy speaking, defending themselves, bragging, complaining, or revealing their opinions, you're collecting information. Who gets emotional? Who becomes defensive? Who interrupts? Who lies? Who tries to impress everyone? Who follows the strongest person in the room? You learn a lot about people when you stop trying to make them understand you. Ayanokoji understands this instinctively. He doesn't need to win every conversation. He doesn't even need to be noticed. He simply watches. And when he finally acts, he already knows what everyone else is likely to do. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Here's something interesting about Ayanokoji. He has almost no public reputation compared to the people around him, and that's exactly the point. A reputation can give you power, but having no reputation can also give you power. If everyone thinks you're a genius, they'll expect genius from you. If everyone thinks you're strong, they'll prepare for you. If everyone thinks you're dangerous, they'll avoid you. But if everyone thinks you're ordinary, they don't prepare for anything. Ayanokoji's public image is almost boring, and boring is useful because his real ability exists far beneath the reputation people have assigned to him. This is one of the biggest differences between Ayanokoji and someone like Ryuen. Ryuen's reputation itself is a weapon. People know he's dangerous, they know he's aggressive, they know he isn't someone you want to casually challenge. So when Ryuen enters a situation, people are already reacting to his reputation before he does anything. Ayanokoji operates differently. He doesn't need people to fear him, he needs people to misunderstand him. That's arguably even more powerful, because if someone fears you, they watch you. If someone underestimates you, they leave you alone. This is something you can apply immediately in your own life. Your reputation is what people expect from you. If you're known as the person who always finishes his work, people will associate you with discipline. If you're known as someone who constantly complains but never takes action, people will associate you with that too. Your reputation is built through repeated behavior, so don't obsess over telling people who you are. Become the person you want them to believe you are. Eventually, your actions will speak for you. If your reputation is strong enough, you won't need to explain yourself. Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. Now, this law seems completely opposite to Ayanokoji. After all, isn't Ayanokoji a loner? He doesn't seem interested in making friends. He doesn't constantly socialize. He spends a huge amount of time observing people from the outside. So, how can Law 18 apply to him? Because being alone and being isolated are two completely different things. Ayanokoji doesn't isolate himself from information. He isolates his emotions. That's an enormous distinction. He understands that you can't control a system if you don't understand the people inside it, so he stays connected. Horikaita, Hirata, Kushida, the other classes, teachers, his opponents, even people he doesn't particularly care about. Everyone can become a source of information. And this is why the idea of the lone wolf is often misunderstood. You don't become powerful by cutting everyone off. You become vulnerable. If you know nothing about what other people are doing, you can't anticipate them. If you have no allies, one setback can destroy everything. If you refuse to communicate, you become blind to what's happening around you. Ayanokoji doesn't need hundreds of friends. He needs connections. That's the lesson. You don't need to be the most social person in your class, but don't confuse independence with isolation. Learn how people think. Learn how they behave. Learn who you can trust. Learn who you shouldn't trust. And most importantly, stay informed. Because information is power, and Ayanokoji never stops collecting it. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. Now we get to the law that basically describes Ayanokoji's entire public existence. Make people feel smarter than you. This is not the same as Law 1. Law 1 is about not outshining people above you. Law 21 goes further. It is about deliberately allowing someone to underestimate your intelligence. And Ayanokoji mastered this. Think about what the audience initially sees. A quiet student, average grades, almost no ambition, no obvious leadership, no visible desire for power. At first glance, there is nothing particularly threatening about him. And that's exactly what makes the eventual revelations hit so hard. Because we discover that the person we thought was sitting on the sidelines was often much more involved than we realized. Ayanokoji doesn't just hide his strength. He creates a false baseline. People think he's probably average, then he's somewhat capable. And by the time they realize how capable he actually is, they're already dealing with him. That's the terrifying part. The strongest move isn't always showing someone what you can do. Sometimes it's letting them decide what you can't do. Because once someone underestimates you, they'll make decisions based on that assumption, and assumptions are exploitable. Think about a competition. If your opponent thinks you're terrible, they're less likely to prepare seriously. If your opponent thinks you're unstoppable, they'll prepare for your best move. But if your opponent has absolutely no idea what you're capable of, now you have uncertainty on your side. That's why Ayanokoji's average appearance is not merely a personality trait, it's a strategic weapon. The real secret: Ayanokoji doesn't control people. Now here's where everything comes together. After all 7 laws, you might think Ayanokoji controls his class because he's some kind of supernatural mastermind. But that's not really what he's doing. He doesn't walk around commanding everyone. He doesn't force everyone to obey him. He doesn't need to. Instead, he controls something far more important: the circumstances surrounding their decisions. Think about it. Law 1. Don't outshine the people above you, so they don't see you as a threat. Law 2. Don't blindly trust friends, so you judge people based on what they can actually do. Law 3. Conceal your intentions, so people can't easily sabotage your plans. Law 4. Say less than necessary, so you don't give away unnecessary information. Law 5. Protect your reputation, so people don't have the wrong kind of attention on you. Law 18. Don't isolate yourself, so you continue collecting information and building connections. Law 21. Let people underestimate you, so they don't realize what they're actually dealing with. And now look at the pattern. Every single law is doing the same thing, reducing the amount of information your enemies have about you, while increasing the amount of information you have about them. That's Ayanokoji's real advantage. It's not just IQ, it's information asymmetry. They know what they think Ayanokoji is. Ayanokoji knows what they actually are. And when one person understands the other person better than they understand themselves, the balance of power changes. The final lesson, and this is where Ayanokoji becomes interesting outside of anime: you don't need to become emotionless. You don't need to manipulate your friends. You don't need to treat everyone like a tool. And you definitely don't need to walk around pretending to be stupid. The real lesson is much simpler. Stop giving everyone unrestricted access to your mind. You don't have to announce every goal. You don't have to explain every decision. You don't have to prove how intelligent you are. You don't have to tell everyone what you're working on. And you don't have to chase attention every time you accomplish something. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is work quietly, learn quietly, improve quietly, observe, and let the results speak when you're ready. Because the person who constantly tells everyone what they're going to become hasn't become it yet. Ayanokoji understands something most people learn far too late. Power isn't always about making people look at you. Sometimes power is being the person nobody is looking at while you're watching everything. And if you want to understand the philosophy behind Ayanokoji even further, don't just study the character, study the books. Because once you start reading the 48 Laws of Power, The Art of War, and other books about strategy, psychology, and human behavior, you start noticing something. The smartest characters aren't randomly making intelligent decisions. They're following principles, and once you understand those principles, you start seeing the game everywhere. So the question isn't, how can I become Ayanokoji? The better question is, what does Ayanokoji understand that I don't? Because once you understand that, you stop watching the character. You start studying him. This is the book analysis. And remember, the person with the most power isn't always the person everyone fears. Sometimes it's the person everyone underestimated.